Okay, so it seems that recently this situation has been getting even worse. The one with Shoto that we've been covering, essentially of him kind of pointing out the annoying chatters constantly asking about Vox Akuma, but it has gotten even worse because if you don't know, obviously the two used to be quite close and they would make a lot of content and stuff together to the point now where I think a lot of people are bringing it up still to this day, even years after them not interacting, and obviously there clearly being some kind of, you know, issue or whatever that's making them not interact, right? And Shoto has recently come out and said, you know, hey, you know, I don't want to talk about him here anymore. And that was about a year ago or so. And a lot of people, you know, obviously have been following that, but there also has been a lot of people not following that, as very evident by this ban request thing, which just constantly bring up Vox. You know, I think it was over like 10 times, at least within this one clip, right? We went over that in the last video if you guys want to go and see that, but it seems like some people are angry at Shoto now, saying Niji is mad at Shoto for asking people to stop bringing up Vox's name in his chat. Now, I think this was, yeah, just before this, but of course, I think that this is in response to this clip, right? Essentially saying, recently Shoto was reading ban requests on stream as some chatters started complaining and asking him about Vox. Shoto told them to stop bringing up his name unprompted since he doesn't talk nor likes him anymore, but Niji sisters got mad about it and a lot of them started bashing him for being obsessed and for having a one-sided beef with Vox. So yeah, this is it here saying, genuine question, why is Shoto so open about hating Vox? And I think it is one of those cases, right, where essentially Vox, you know, had to kind of say something about this. He had to be like, hey guys, stop talking about him because, you know, we're not friends anymore. We're not close anymore. We're not going to do content anymore for whatever reason that may be, right? Again, we don't know what has happened behind the scenes. But of course, he was just mentioning it due to the fact there was a lot of people still bringing it up in chat and he wanted it to stop. And I think that, yeah, obviously he waited quite a long time for that to happen and then brought it up. It's not like, you know, they fell out and then he instantly said it like the moment they fell out, right? No, it seems like he's waited quite a long time to kind of bring it up, right? Saying someone uploaded the clip on X, but it's already deleted. So yeah, obviously that was just the clips we've been watching. Saying Shoto tried waiting 2 to 3 years for people in his chat to stop asking about Vox before asking them to stop merely stating that we're no longer friends. I assume Shoto merely repeated himself recently, edit a few times going through this ban list and being exasperated, not even saying anything bad about the guy. Vox's remaining fans don't appear to be grounded individuals, to put it lightly. It has been known that his fan base has a big deranged section, which of course a lot of people have been discussing, right? And it is one of those things, right? I think it's better for Vox and for Shoto to just kind of like not really bring it up, right? I feel like even Vox probably doesn't want to be brought up in Shoto's chat either. And again, it is just one of those disappointing things that a lot of people, I guess, you know, get heated over, right? And, you know, Shoto has made it very, very clear that he doesn't want to talk about it. He wants to avoid it altogether. You know, the reason he's talking about it in the first place isn't because he wants to, you know, spread drama or he doesn't want to spread anything about Vox or anything like that. He literally just wants the messages about him to stop so that he can continue his stream without, you know, obviously, you know, him being mentioned constantly, right? So I think it is one of those things where, yeah, you're kind of like, you're kind of screwed if you do mention him, but you're kind of screwed if you don't, which of course it is a pretty tough spot to be in, right? And they just forgot the reason they are part of the reason that folks hate Vox and other related livers. Then reset the clock till the next Niji sister freaks out. Saying this is honestly why I stay off of Twitter. I'm not a fan of Vox and I've seen minimal of Shoto. However, people need to take the hint that people aren't going to collab if they don't mesh anymore. I remember that era between them, and honestly, I've been enjoying Shoto's other collabs with Shu, for example, much more than I've seen them. It's likely going to be like this for a while. He isn't going to try to instigate anything from what I see. And yeah, he's not trying to instigate drama. He's not trying to instigate anything between him and Vox. It just genuinely seems like everything that Shoto has said is essentially just like, hey guys, can we just not? Like that? That's essentially it, right? He's not like being like, you know, Vox did this, Vox did that. No, he's not saying that, right? He's just being like, yo, we aren't friends anymore. Can you just stop mentioning him? That's all. And obviously people keep mentioning him, but then they get mad whenever, you know, people. So it's kind of one of these things where it's a big cycle, because it's just like people asking about him in chat, right? And then obviously that makes Shoto talk about him in the stream, and then those same people get mad that he talked about them in stream, even though they're the ones that put the message about him in his chat, right? It's kind of crazy how much it all kind of circles around, right? Saying he's not even open about hating him. It's just that he's annoyed as fuck whenever it comes back again and again, to the point where it feels like people want to watch Vox and him instead of him. So that's exactly what they want to watch. They don't care about him on his own, but rather than just not watch, they do this kind of stuff. They said Twitter, especially Niji fans on Twitter, freak out about everything. This really didn't warrant the millions of days of worth of impressions it generated. Shoto reiterated what he said like a year ago at this point, and it was an offhand small remark. Niji fans are ironically proving Shoto right when he complained about the Niji fandom, saying these fans themselves don't realize that they are part of the reason. Shoto knows that they aren't there for him. This is the same thing like addressed way back when someone made stuff up about how Ike was crying before the concert and Vox being the one who calmed him down. Ike himself had to come out and basically say, no, this ain't true, and stop making up everything about Vox, even when it's meant to be my moment and my efforts. That they'll refuse to admit that their problem, because it would require taking accountability. With all that stuff has come out before about Vox, he's the problem, along with the fan base that he built that refuses to keep in check. So yeah, pretty crazy, right? So Niji sisters always wasting everyone to closeted, and so to stay closeted and swallow their grievances. Must protect the billion-dollar company. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just think it's kind of ridiculous that Shoto has still been getting this kind of hate towards him, and has been essentially getting these messages and stuff all over something that happened years ago, right? You got to remember that this isn't something that happened a month ago or like a week ago, because maybe that would be understandable as to, people not knowing what has happened. But it's been years now, to the point where it's just like, why is this still being mentioned, right? People are fed up. People don't want to see this anymore. And it is just one of those situations where, yeah, I mean, as I said, he is kind of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't, because if he talks about him, people are going to get mad at him talking about him. But if he talks about him and tries to get people to stop talking about him in chat, then, maybe some people will listen. But it's just kind of, and obviously if he doesn't talk about it at all, well, then, he will continue to have these messages in his chat. And again, I think his moderators do some work to kind of delete and ban the people that do mention Vox and things like that, which I think is good. So of course that can provide some kind of, I guess, just ease on that kind of end. But it shouldn't be that way. Moderators shouldn't be spending all of their time to ban messages about another VTuber, because they just shouldn't be talking about it, right? Especially when he has explicitly stated that he doesn't want to talk about it in his chat, and that he doesn't want to discuss it. So again, it is one of those things, you got to respect the streamer, but clearly a lot of these people don't really watch, Shoto for Shoto, right? They're not watching him for him, they're watching him for Vox and Shoto. They want both of them, but at the end of the day, that's just not happening. Oh, clearly something has happened. Obviously, I don't know what it is, I can't tell you, but of course something has happened to the point where they're not interacting anymore. And yeah, people want them to interact, but they just can't, right? It's just not possible. It's not something that you can just like convince him and maybe one day he'll do it, right? Maybe one day he'll give in. No, that just won't happen, because it seems like things are pretty open and shut between them. So yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this video, though. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. So, see ya.